Today we're going to be going over my best bets for UFC Freedom 250, Justin Gaethje versus Topuria. Let's get into it. And real quick, make sure you guys subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers before UFC Freedom 250. Let's make it happen. So our first fight of the card, we're going to have Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. And this is one of my favorite fights on the card. We have two top contenders looking to make a push to get back into the title conversation. Obviously, Diego Lopez already lost twice to Volk. Steve Garcia riding a bit of a hot streak. He's 5-0 in his last five, and he hasn't lost since losing to Machete back in UFC 275. You can see here that was 5 knockout wins in a row, a unanimous decision against Calvin Kattar, and then another round 1 KO versus David Onama, making it look easy. Now on the Diego Lopez side, he even gave Mozvar Evolve, I don't know if I said that right. You guys get me every time. But he gave Mozvar very big fits in their first fight. He looked extremely dangerous on the ground, and obviously, as we've seen, he's dangerous wherever he goes. Very good mix of submission, knockout wins. He looks very slick off his back, although he wants the fight standing. He embraces the chaos, and that's what we're going to be getting in this fight. I mean, he's fighting people like Jean Silva, Volkanovski, Dan Ige was an insane fight, and he is just embracing, throwing down, and that's what you're going to get from Steve Garcia as well. Now, Steve Garcia can get it done in a lot of different ways. If he gets a knockdown, he is going to be on you. He's going to be raining elbows down. But in terms of the way I'm leaning for this fight, we are going to be leaning the way of Diego Lopez knockout. I think it comes down to durability. I think these guys are going to be absolutely standing and banging for the most part, and who can stand and bang better, Now Diego Lopez does absorb about 4.5 strikes per minute, and he gives out about 3.8. Steve Garcia only absorbs 2 per minute, gives out 5. Now the level of competition has been increasing as of late. I mean, and the Costa victory right here looks a lot better in hindsight, but that was almost 2.5 years ago. Kattar and Onama, yes, but he's not fighting Volk. He's not fighting Jean Silva, Brian Ortega. To me, experience with these top level guys means a lot, and so those striking differentials might look better for Steve Garcia, but he hasn't been fighting Volk. He hasn't been fighting John Silva, Dan Ige even, who left it all out on the floor for UFC 303. I'm going to be choosing violence here. I think this will be a knockout victory, and I'm going to be leaning Diego Lopez's way just because I think he's more durable. I think he's going to get the better of the exchanges, and I think he's going to put him down. I could see it happening any round, so I'm not going to get specific, but we're going to get that at plus 200 odds. Diego Lopez by KO or TKO. Moving on to the next one, we've got Bo Nickel versus Kyle Daukaus. So this one is an interesting fight to me. Kyle Daukaus previously cut in the UFC. And Bo Nickel obviously has had a kind of up and down career. He came out swinging out of the Contender Series, and you can see in his last 5, 4-1, and kind of made a splash right out the gate, winning by submission. They wanted to see one more fight with him, winning by submission again with one of the slickest transitions I've seen, from hurting the guy, and then switching from a triangle, I believe, into an armbar. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just thought, oh yeah, he's a wrestler. And then I saw that transition, and I thought to myself, wow, this guy is amazing at jiu-jitsu as well, and he can stand there and bang. Obviously getting another sub and then a KO versus Val Woodburn. He really shouldn't have been in the UFC, although he did have a couple of good fights. Obviously winning over Brundage and Craig, losing to De Ritter, and then getting back on track against Vieira. Now Dawkins, on the other hand, he's got an interesting little path here. Obviously, being in the UFC, losing, winning, losing, draw, win, loss. The UFC says, no, we're good for a bit. He gets 4, 3 finishes, 1 decision, kind of makes some waves, comes back, immediately knocks out Michel Pereira, which he wasn't winning by, knockout ever. And then all of a sudden he gets 1 in the championship fight in the CFFC. And then he comes out and he starches Michel Pereira, which is very surprising. And then get him back to his submission ways with Gerald Meerschaert. To me, I think these guys are both going to respect each other's grappling. And I think this fight will mostly take place on the feet. I think there will be takedown attempts. I think there will be takedowns. But I believe that they're both going to respect each other's wrestling enough to where they're going to be striking a good amount. And I think this mix is going to lean to it going to decision. And when they are on the feet, I think this has to lean Bo Nickal's way, even though Kyle Dawkins has been finding some success in the knockout area. I believe that if this mostly takes place on the feet, I think Bo Nickal has the edge there, and that's why I'm going to be leaning Bo Nickal decision plus 260 for the method of victory, and I think that's great value. I think this goes to decision at a relatively high clip, and I think Bo Nickal gets the better of it, so that's the way we're going to be riding with that one. Next up, we're going to have Rufi versus Chandler. Now, Chandler, I feel bad for him. He just gets all of these very big fights, and he just can't deliver, even though he does deliver on an exciting fight pretty much every time. And Rufi also delivers on exciting fights as well. Now, Rufi likes to take a bit more of a measured approach to start fights until he finds that kill shot. And I don't know how that's going to clash with kind of Michael Chandler's very fast starts. Even though Chandler has been to, decision 2 times in his last 5, and he's been to a 3rd and 5th round, 4 out of the last 5 fights. He does still start very fast, and I just don't know how Rufi is going to respond to that. I think it's going to be very measured still, and then he will catch Chandler. It's very liable to happen in the 1st or 2nd round. Just taking a look at how Michael Chandler has been since entering the UFC. I mean, Hooker was, basically in his prime at this time, and he got a knockout to enter. Lost to Charles. Was kind of very surprised that was a knockout. Not as much as recent, but then a Gaethje loss, obviously. The Tony Ferguson knockout. Tony Ferguson was, shouldn't have even been fighting, at this point. And then obviously, 3 very amazing guys: Oliveira, Poirier, and Paddy Pimblett. Personally, I think that losing to basically all top 5 fighters at the time that they fought, it's not like a very big deal. However, when you're fighting someone like Rufi, who's just on an absolute tear, only getting got the better of by BSD, he has 4 knockouts in the UFC, 1 decision, and then a submission loss. Michael Chandler's not submitting Rufi. Personally, the way I think this is going to play out, it's either going to be round 1 or round 2 KO. I personally am going to be leaning round 2 for Rufi, just because I think he's going to take a more measured approach. I think Chandler can withstand, a round. I think Chandler might even get the better of the first 3 minutes, and then Rufi will find a shot in the second. And we're going to be going with 2 bets for this. I'm going to be putting 2 units on Rufi KO. In general, that's minus 195. And then I will be also sprinkling about a half unit on Mauricio Rufi KO in round 2. That's going to be plus 430. So if it's round 2, we'll be cashing in. If it's knockout at all, we'll still be in profit. If it's a decision or a loss, obviously we'll be out. But personally, I think this is happening in round 2, and I think that it's a good way to play this fight. Next up, we are going to have Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. I'm extremely excited for this fight. This came together kind of last minute. Trump called up. He said, hey, we need this guy on the card, or why isn't Derek Lewis on the card? And then that Hokett fight was happening at the same time. And then Dana White basically got it signed, sealed, and delivered that night that we needed to see this. Hokett, it's back and forth with me. I kind of liked him in his first fight, and then even in his second fight officially in the UFC against Freeman, and then the antics just keep going up. I've seen an interview with him not playing his character. Still don't know if I really like the guy, but that doesn't have anything to play into the way I'm going to be picking this fight. Derek Lewis, it's like you think you see him losing all the time, and yeah, he got 3 losses in a row. You think, hey, he might be done. Then he goes and gets that amazing knee against DeLima, and then loses a decision to Gelatin, gets a knockout versus Nascimento, and then beautiful fight here against Talson Teixeira. He is just a whirlwind to bet on, and also to watch fight here. And then obviously getting knocked out in his last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. Now Hokett on the other hand, knockout, and probably fight of the year. How could anyone possibly beat that? 3 heavyweights going fully at it for 3 rounds. It kind of made me think that Hokett's the real deal, but it also made me think that the way this fight's going to go is that he's going to just get out there and stand and bang with Derek Lewis. And I'm sorry, but the odds on this fight for a Derek Lewis knockout, when it's his only way to win, we have, I believe, Derek Lewis knockout round 1 is plus 500. Knockout in general is plus 400. That's his only path to victory. That should basically be his money line, and you're getting an extra plus 200 on that, basically. So round 1 knockout, only way you could win, but this is how I think it'll go. I think that the fight's not going to start round 2, and it's either going to be Hokett styling on him, getting him out there very quickly, and that's definitely a way it could go, or Derek Lewis is going to find the shot, and Hokett's going to be embarrassed and maybe rethinking how he approaches fights. The odds on this are just too great to pass up. I think we're going to go fight to not start round 2 at minus 114. I think that's beautiful. It's a great baseline, 2 units on that. And I'm going to put a full unit on Derek Lewis KO, TKO at plus 500. So we'll see how that goes, but I just think since it's his only winning condition, that's going to be the way that you have to go in this fight. It's either that or just round 1 KO. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section below. Next up, we're going to have my favorite fighter in the UFC. Now that Israel Adesanya just can't win a fight, Izzy's still one of my favorites, but obviously it's getting very hard. But Sean O'Malley, now one thing about Sean O'Malley, this Song Yadong fight after that last Song Yadong fight that he had is looking even better. Song Yadong looked amazing, and Sean O'Malley got the better of him over 3 rounds. Very close fight. Obviously losing to Merab. First one, not very close. Second one, had some good moments, but overall just got absolutely overwhelmed by Merab, and past the second round, everyone knew that he was getting subbed eventually. And then, to start his career, obviously only one Marlon Vera kind of blemish on there until Merab came along. On the Zahabi side, he used to be the most boring fighter, like on the, this planet, even getting 2 losses pretty early on, kind of was hoping that he would just get cut at some point. But then, started to grab a couple of TKOs against pretty no names at that. But he has wins over Marlon Vera, kind of getting washed at this point. Jose Aldo, Pedro Munoz, even Basharat. pretty solid, pretty solid wins. Now, is he fighting the level of competition to Sean O'Malley with Merab, Song Yadong, Sterling, Yan? No. But has he started to look better? Yes. Now, one thing to note about this fight, Sean O'Malley beat Marlon Vera pretty convincingly. Marlon Vera, who went to split decision with, and definitely a worse Marlon Vera. And he also got dropped by Marlon Vera and Jose Aldo in his retirement fight. Now, if they're dropping Zahabi, obviously they didn't finish him because he won both those fights. But is Sean O'Malley not getting that knockout? I'm fairly certain he is. He has more power than both of those guys at this point, in both of their careers. And he has shown an ability to find the knockout. I just think the fight leans this way. It's fairly simple in my brain. I don't know what round it'll come. I really couldn't have a guess for you, so I'm not going to try to even bet that. But plus 210 for Sean O'Malley knockout. Very solid odds. If you want it to be safer, just add in decision there. And you'll probably get closer to like minus 175. I'm assuming. I haven't looked at the odds, but that's easily the way this fight's going to go. They're going to stand and bang. Sean O'Malley is going to get a guy that wants to trade with him, and that's going to go Sean O'Malley's way 9 times out of 10. So that's the way we're going to be playing it today. Into our co-main event of the evening, we have Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane. And if we just take a look at both of these guys' bodies of work, it's like, wow, we really got blessed with this fight for this UFC Freedom 250 card. First off, obviously Pereira getting a KO and then 2 more KOs, beating Israel Adesanya. Very sad for me, but losing to Adesanya, he got caught. He was winning most of that fight, I will admit. And then Jan Blachowicz, split decision. He did get that win, beat Yuri, beat Jamal Hill, beat Yuri again, beat Khalil, and then kind of really styled on Khalil. Obviously, the kind of off night for him, he was dealing with a bit of an injury, and then beautiful knockout versus Ankalaev to kind of seal that deal. Now moving up to heavyweight, Cyril Gane, on the other hand, obviously he's been fighting at the top level for a very long time now. 2020 fighting Junior Dos Anjos, then Rosenstruck. Alexander Volkov won the, I believe this was the interim title, losing to Francis. The only time he's ever been dropped was against Tai Tuivasa, and he still got that win. Lost to John Jones, and a couple of wins in that draw versus Aspinall. So he is a top level guy. He is going to be a heavyweight that is, has the best movement in that division. He is a natural heavyweight, fighting around 250 every time. Pereira, the real kind of question around this fight is, how does Pereira translate with all this extra weight? Some people are saying that Pereira might come in as heavy as 250. It's similar to John Jones in the fact that he's moving up from light heavyweight. The only thing that's different is that Jones had a longer layover period. I believe it was like 2.5 years for John Jones. Pereira fought at 205 as recently as October. So, only like 8 months, and he's putting on probably 20 to 30 pounds. He probably walks around at around 230 for his light heavyweight fights. So 225, 230, and now he's going to be fighting at 250 as he put up on enough muscle to hold his power going up to heavyweight. That's an interesting thing to look out for. And the way that I'm going to be playing this, gotta go Pereira by KO. I think if Pereira wins, he does knock him out. I think that a lot of people think that it's either Pereira knockout or Cyril Gane decision. I really don't think it's that way. I think this fight could be competitive either way. I see this getting done inside the distance, and Pereira's left hook, his calf kicks, wearing down Cyril Gane. I think it's going to be a bit much for him. He could get him early, he could get him late. It just all boils down to how his cardio holds up. If his cardio holds up, I think Pereira gets this done kind of any round. But that remains to be seen. It's a bit risky, but we're going to be going plus 150 Alex Pereira to win by knockout. And the last fight of this card, this UFC Freedom 250 card, is going to be Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. Now, I used to be a bit of a Ilia Topuria hater. I'm a Paddy Pimblett fan. You can't really hate on the guy's body of work. I mean, this guy, since coming into the UFC, getting a decision, 3 TKOs in a row, submitting Bryce Mitchell, winning against Josh Emmett via unanimous decision, and then obviously these 3 title fights, just absolute mayhem, just getting around 1, 2, and 3 knockout against Volk, Holloway, and Oliveira. You expect him to slow down at some point, and he really hasn't. What more can you say about this guy? Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, I mean, how could you not love Justin Gaethje? He's he trains out of Arizona, where I live. It's very, I love repping that for UFC 250. Let's just go back all the way, to the beginning. I mean, winning the Ultimate Fighter 25 finale, losing to Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez. At that time, I mean, who cares? Getting a few wins, beating Tony Ferguson for the interim title, and that was really where I knew, okay, Justin Gaethje is going to be around this top 5 conversation for the rest of his career until he kind of fizzles out. But losing to Khabib, it is what it is. Beating Chandler, losing by submission to Charles Oliveira. At that time, Charles Oliveira was what Ilia Topuria is now. I mean, who really cares about that? Getting that amazing head kick KO versus Dustin Poirier, and then obviously losing to Max Holloway. He lost that whole fight, and that's a point right there. Is Topuria, was winning that whole fight against Max Holloway. Justin Gaethje did lose that Max Holloway fight, albeit over 2 years ago. And then obviously getting the interim against Paddy Pimblett. To be honest, I thought Paddy was going to win that fight. And Justin Gaethje dismantled them. I think the way this fight is going to roll is going to be a win by knockout. I mean, it's minus 375. These guys are going to stand and bang. If Topuria takes it to the ground, this will be the easiest win of his life. He could sub him in, a minute flat easily, probably less. I think Topuria is trying to make a statement here, and especially on this massive of a card, I think he wants to knock out, and that's giving Justin Gaethje a chance. Now, if you're going for something, with Topuria's side, you're gonna have to look at a different YouTube video, because I'm going with Justin Gaethje plus 600 by knockout. If he gets it done, he gets it done that way. No way he outpoints Topuria. No way he subs Topuria. So that is the one way he can win, and you're getting at a plus 600 price tag. I think those are fairly solid odds. He can catch Topuria. We just saw Hamzat, lose to Sean Strickland when no one thought it could happen. Why cannot lightning not strike twice? That's what I'm going to be going with. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. I'm going to be making another video this week with a few parlays I'm putting together. So that's going to be all for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. I would love to see your guys' comments as well. Let's get into these fights this week. Subscribe.